Haunted Hospital JNIMS. Jawaharlal Nehru Institute of Medical Science Hospital, situated in Manipur, has been providing essential medical services to the public for many years. However, there have been many rumors about this hospital, which have only grown over time, claiming that the place is haunted. It is said that the gynecology department, along with its adjacent washrooms and corridors, is not safe at night. One night, nurse Anand, who had recently joined the hospital, was attending to a patient in the gynecology department when she suddenly heard the sound of someone crying in the corridor. She wondered who could be crying at such a late hour. When she went to check, she could still hear the crying but could not see anyone. It was strange. She started walking further into the corridor, following the sound. When she reached the end of the corridor, she found no trace of any person. Anand began to panic as the crying grew louder, but there was still no one there. Frightened, she turned back to the patient's room, but just as she turned around, she felt someone behind her. It seemed like someone was standing right behind her. But before Anand could react, the lights in the corridor began to flicker and then abruptly stopped. Anand started to feel that something unnatural was happening. The crying grew even louder, and as she turned to look back, she saw a woman sitting on the ground, turned towards the wall, scratching it and crying. The woman, wearing patient clothes, kept repeating, "I was wronged, I was wronged." Seeing this, Anand froze in shock as if her entire body had turned cold. She couldn't understand what was happening or who the woman in front of her was. Anand decided to approach the woman, but as she got closer, she noticed that the lower half of the woman's body was soaked in blood. When the woman turned towards Anand, she was horrified. The woman was holding a dead baby in her arms. As she walked towards Anand, the corridor lights flickered again, and the woman kept repeating, "I was wronged. You all did wrong to me. You killed me." Anand was now terrified, and she couldn't move her body. The woman's eyes were filled with rage, and Anand's mind went completely blank. Mustering all her courage, Anand ran and hid in the washroom on the floor. She pulled out her phone to call for help, but realized she had left it in the gynecology department. That night, Anand stayed alone, hiding in the washroom, too scared to come out, fearing she might encounter the terrifying woman again. Suddenly, there was a loud knock on the bathroom door, which abruptly stopped. Amidst all this, Anand's eyes fell on the large mirror in the bathroom. What she saw there made her scream. In the mirror's reflection, she saw the same blood-soaked woman standing right behind her. Anand turned around in fear, but there was no one. Anand felt like she was losing her mind. She just wanted to escape from that place. She knew the other nurses were on the upper floor in the nurses' ward, but to get there, she had to pass through the same corridor where she had seen the horrifying woman earlier. But Anand had no other option. She decided to run straight to the upper floor, and without thinking, she sprinted towards the corridor. While running, she tripped over something and fell. When she looked at what she had stumbled upon, her entire body went cold. Lying on the floor was the same woman's dead body, the one she had seen moments earlier in the corridor. The sight of the woman's body made Anand feel faint, and she lost consciousness. The next day, when she woke up, she found herself in the hospital as a patient, with a drip attached to her and several nurses sitting around her. Anand told them all about the horrifying incident, but no one believed her. They all told her that due to her job stress, she wasn't taking care of her health, and she should take a few days off. Later that evening, when Anand was alone in her room, an elderly nurse came to her and said she believed her. The nurse told Anand that the woman she had seen last night was named Sayana. About 20 years ago, Sayana had faced complications during her last week of pregnancy and was admitted to the hospital. Due to the complications, the doctors had told Sayana's family that they could only save one, either the mother or the baby. The family chose to save the baby. However, just days after Sayana's death, her husband's house caught fire, killing the entire family. Since that day, many people have reported seeing Sayana's spirit wandering the gynecology department of the hospital. Upon hearing this, Anant was terrified. She immediately resigned from her job and even stopped taking night shifts in other hospitals. What do you think? Is JNIMS haunted? How did you find this story?